So what I really find interesting about, uh, you know, this epic life is isn't that true that you know of all our heroes, we eventually read about them. We read autobiographies, and later on, something happens where someone starts writing that they were not who we thought we thought they were, and they start like writing things about how they were actually really just they had their issues, and then you find out like that they were their what the issues were and things like that. And all of a sudden, they become normal people. And ironically, what we find out is that all these geniuses and these epic people were just normal people. And it's like it's almost like it doesn't matter who it was. We find out like I remember reading about Mother Teresa of how even though everyone thought that she had this incredible faith, she was actually suffering from a lot of doubt and darkness and depression. And I was, and people were like, wow, that was actually really helpful because I heard a lot of people saying that it was helpful to see that she wasn't just all light inside, and that in spite of that, she was able to achieve, the great feats that she was able to achieve, and so on and so forth. But then we find out things about, all these big people, Martin Luther King or Mahatma Gandhi or whoever it is, what you'll notice is that we find out that something in their personal life, something about it was normal by quite a bit, or actually less than desirable. The reason I actually talk about this is because I want to see if I can actually break this myth of an epic person outside of the dust gather into mountain, and for the norm. And, I'm not ever going to say that there aren't exceptions. There are always exceptions. And then what I would like to say is that even those people who are exceptions, they suffer because they can't be normal, which is a very normal struggle because togetherness is the most important thing. And what I'm trying to demonstrate is that what matters the most are the feelings that we're looking for, our core needs, to be significant, to have meaning in life, to be able to serve, to belong, to experience intimacy, um, to have impact, right? Those are like the core things. They're, some I've actually heard one time someone say that really actually the three needs that we have is for growth, significance, and belonging. And then if you break that down, significance could be uniqueness and actually service, and growth, and then belonging could be intimacy and so on and so forth. But they're all the same. They're feelings that we want to have of things that allow us to actually feel like life is really worth it, and where we feel like we're thriving and life is full and we're happy. And everything else is a strategy. And so that need is not going to go away. There's nothing wrong with that. And the ego is there, the sense of self. That's really all this. That's what an ego is, the sense of self. The sense of self is there to try and help you meet those core needs. And so the sense of self is there. And then you have strategies. And the strategies that I see most common are people trying to do epic things, which I think is really sad, because I feel like it's a poor model. And I'm not saying the model that I present is actually the truth. I think that there will be better models that come out. But just traditionally, this model has worked for a lot of people, evidenced by all the traditional religions and evidenced by what we actually read in biographies and evidenced by modern psychology and things like that. So if you kind of look at there's a commonality, it's kind of like best practices that people accumulated. If you look at the best practices that people have accumulated, then what you find out is basically reaching mastery using the concept of slow is fast, less is more, and small is great. Right? And that's kind of it. Like mastery is basically growth and actually being able to accumulate dust gather into mountain in a certain area. And the people who do that are not significant people, they're normal people. And because you're normal, you just make sure that you pace yourself, not trying to be significant, not trying to be different, where it's okay to put in effort, and you just make the effort sustainable, right? And it sounds super boring. Like, who wants to do that? Everyone wants to be born with a special talent, and actually, you could be. But I'd like to say that it's not the talent that makes us special. It's actually the different things that come together that makes it special. And so I kind of just wanted to just give this picture and this view, this full view, so that you can consider for yourself as to how these things come together. That really what we're looking for is for our core needs to be met, and that what we're really looking, that the sense of ego is neither good nor bad, but it actually is just a sense of self that's trying to have these needs met, and it's got these strategies. And when these strategies are not working, then the ego becomes really self-apparent, and that's when people beat up on the ego, saying, "Oh, you shouldn't have such ego," and things like that. But look at the education that we're getting nowadays. Like, look at the kind of things that people like talk about. You need to like live your purpose. You need to find what you're best at. You need to find out what your passions are, and then you need to find what a good area of service is, and then you need to just do what you love, and then you'll have a love-filled life. And so I feel like everyone is trying to do that, and I think that's actually not a bad thing to talk about. I think that's actually a much better concept than what used to be around. But it's kind of interesting. I feel like it's slightly misleading, because a lot of the time people who talk about these are people who actually are teaching about these after the fact. Now, if you have reached the mastery, you already have a very clearly defined area of passion. You have a skill set where most likely you're very uniquely talented in, because all your different talents came together, and the integrated different aspects of all your different talents, even if each by itself is not as best. Let's say, for instance, you are a great music teacher. You're like the best teacher in the world, and so you think, what I'm talented is, being a teacher. It's actually not true. Then probably what the combination of talents are, you are good enough in music, but there are other people who are greater, but you're good enough in music. You're good enough in teaching, and you are good enough in certain, like, all these different areas. And when they come together, it makes you a great gifted music teacher, right? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's like, if you were to look at any one of these different things individually, like maybe your teaching isn't even that great compared to some other teachers. But even if you have a great teacher here over at math that is a better teacher in terms of being a teacher, but they don't know music, well, they're not a great music teacher. So it's a combination of these small little talents that are just better than the average that come together, that integrate itself, that makes a great talent. So if you're already at the top of your game and you have mastery, you have a clearly defined area of passion, clearly defined area of talent, and then you have a clear service, and it seems like that's all you need to look for. So it's to say, like, look for the people that really resonate with you, and the people that you can serve, and your talent and your passion, and then voila, without considering the 20 years that came before the person found whatever it is that they were doing. And so, and what I just talked about is causality, the concept of causality, really looking at what caused what, right? And so what I'm trying to do here is actually help people find their significance and meaning in life, where ego is not bad. Ego is just the sense of self that's using these different strategies. And if you have a strategy that's ineffective, then your needs are not going to be met, and all you can do is beat up the ego, because it's not getting through the needs. But really what you need is a change in strategy as to how to approach things so that your needs can be met, which is a change in view and path and fruit. But really, it starts with the view. And that's why I love talking about the view.